Hello everyone, good afternoon. I'm Iwata from the Spring and International Business District Adventure Show. Today, I'd like to take a moment to discuss the online-based program. Last year, I had the opportunity to interview a wonderful student from NB Lounge, Mr. Kaji, who was recognized as an outstanding student. I hope that through this discussion, everyone can gain a better understanding of the online program. So, first of all, today, Emeland Karzi-san is watching, so I think I'll start off by giving a quick introduction. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Iwata-san. Yes, it's been a while, Mr. Ito. How have you been? Yes, sorry to have kept you waiting. Thank you very much for today. Yes, that's right. Well, Mr. Ito is a student of MV Lunch, so I was able to talk to him about Haruto's application and schedule. Yes, well, I was able to talk to him about various things regarding the entrance exam for MBA. Well, on LinkedIn and other sites, you've been doing great since spring, and I've been following you every time. And I was impressed that you already had an entrepreneurial mindset in the beginning, and that your way of thinking was a little different from other people's. However, you were a little worried about your English, and I think you struggled, but in the end, I'm very happy that you graduated with such excellent grades. Yes. So that's it for today. We've invited Mr. Ito. Yes, he'll be talking about a lot of things. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, let's get started. Well, before we go on to Mr. Ito's interview, I'll give you a quick update. So, as today's agenda, I'd like to give you some good updates and also introduce some career statistics. So, the main focus today is Mr. Ito's interview on Wednesday, and at the end, I'd like to tell you that there will be a revenge in the future. Yes. So first of all, well, Haruto's online media has been evolving in a good way every year, and there are currently 3 styles. First of all, Online Global India has been in existence for 2 years. This program integrates the previously available live online and flex online formats. It's designed to meet all the needs of online learning. You can start this program 4 times a year, so the next start date is in April. While on the other hand, the hybrid X8 in the middle, this one is basically for people who are in the local area, that is Dubai, London, and the people who are in the local area who will receive it in the near future. And finally, this is a new sports area that will start. Well, this is simply an online environment, but we are partnering with the local soccer club in Barcelona. This program is for people who want to see the so-called business side of sports. So, I think the main focus is probably on Europe, but basically, yes. Ito-san also did the online thing, and I think this is probably a good fit for the Japanese. So I mentioned earlier that it meets all needs. But specifically, for example, you can attend live classes and even visit the campus during the summer. I believe Ito-san would agree, as there are 2 summits held each year exclusively for online participants, where you can gather for classes and networking events. Lastly, you have the option to choose between live sessions or recorded sessions, so you can pick what works best for you. Such highly flexible online approaches are now in place. Well, this is a simple summary. So why Haruto's age? Well, I think Ito-san, as you listen to the story, everyone, well, I think you might be feeling this, but there are 4 main points: community, skills, flexibility, and the ability to maintain a deep relationship with actual professors, not just in an online setting. This is likely what makes Hult stand out compared to other online programs. So, starting this year, I mentioned that you can choose to attend seminars anywhere during the summer. In fact, you can even go on site for a week. So you can take courses there. This year, it's in Tokyo. As mentioned, you can also go to Tokyo. However, I think many Japanese people might want to go somewhere else, so I don't think it's necessary to come all the way to Tokyo. But for those who want to do it in Tokyo, that's also an option. Stock price trading. Yes, that's right. By the way, Ito-san, if I remember correctly, you came to Dubai for the summit, and your graduation ceremony was in London, right? That's right. So you did the online program, but also had the opportunity to be on campus in Dubai. Plus, Singapore is nearby. so everyone can participate online while also having chances to visit the campus. That's right. Lastly, regarding the statistics, we have some data on the career backgrounds of our online classmates. The most recent statistics show that the average age is around 37, which means that the EMBA class consists of quite a senior group, including many people who are running companies like CEOs such as Ito-san. And the nationalities are diverse, coming from all over the world in the online program. As for the industries, as mentioned, they are very varied. Got it. In terms of industries, we have manufacturing, tech, finance, healthcare, and also energy, consulting, and consumer sectors, as Kudo-san mentioned. So, as you can see, there's a wide range of nationalities, ages, and industries represented here. Indeed, there's a gathering of diverse backgrounds. It's that kind of diversity that brings everyone together. Here's some data on what graduates do after finishing the program. This is a recent summary. Well, basically, everyone is looking to make a career change. There are many people like that, but many of them also start their own businesses. Well, as I'll talk about later, Mr. Ito also started his own business. Many people are leveraging their experiences while working in the news industry. So, we do have some average costs available as well, along with rankings. Thanks to this, we are actually ranked 16th in the latest QS rankings. In terms of rankings, we have become professionals. Last year, we achieved a C4 mark in the rankings. So, the online talk began in 2020, right at the start of the pandemic. Since then, the perception of it has been changing rapidly. So with that said, I'll wrap up my part of the talk. Today, we actually have someone who graduated last year from the Wharton program joining us. Well, I'd like to hear a lot from him. So with that, Ito-san from Marutomi City, thank you for taking the time today. Thank you very much. Yes. First of all, we have prepared some simple questions. And by answering those, we'd like to start with a self-introduction from Ito-san, using the slides he has prepared. Please go ahead. Thank you. Once again, my name is Yuta Ito. Nice to meet you all.
I'm originally from Tokyo, and I entered the MBA program at Hult when I was 37, turning 36 at that time. Currently, I run two companies, Meets Consulting, a consulting firm, and Spindle, an online sales company. As for my background, after graduating from university, I joined Idemitsu Kosan, a well-known oil company, which was my first assignment. After that, I went through that built-in consulting firm and joined Amazon Japan, where I was working as a consultant within Amazon. I quit that job and started my own company while challenging myself to get an MBA. Of course, I have no experience abroad. I was not very good at English, and I still am not good at it. That's me. But my family consists of my wife and 3 boys, numbered 961 from the top. Our home is a bit chaotic every day, but we have a lot of fun together, so I appreciate your support today. Oh, definitely. I just started a YouTube channel linked to LinkedIn X, so I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's right. I still remember the challenging times from 2 years ago when I took on this journey. At that time, there was also the pandemic, and I was really worried about whether I could clear the English requirements. But somehow, I managed to get through it and graduated last year without any issues. I didn't get a chance to mention this earlier, but I was recognized for my academic performance, which is quite an honor. Among the top achievers, I was selected for this recognition. He is a graduate who has received an award, and he is quite well known. He was actually selected by Hakaku as a technician. He's a wonderful person. Let's dive in. You mentioned leaving Amazon to start your own business. Why did you choose an MBA at Hult's online program? All right, let's dive in. You left Amazon to start your own business. Why pursue an MBA, specifically Hult's online program? Thank you. I wanted 2 things from the MBA: confidence and knowledge of global business practices. The online format offered flexibility in location and time. I think that's what you were talking about.
Yes, thank you. There are 2 things I wanted to get out of that MBA. First, I wanted confidence. The other was to learn how to do business globally and to have a global mindset. I wanted to get these 2 things, so I challenged myself to do MBA. The reason I chose online is because of the flexibility of being able to choose the place and time myself. More than anything, I didn't want to pause my career. Of course, I think it's great to take a break from your career to fully focus on an MBA, but personally, I wanted to continue my career while also pursuing my MBA. The reason why it is chosen as spring is because it emphasizes practical application. It is not only theory, but also case studies and group work are really substantial, which can be said to be very difficult. I still think that it was very useful because I was able to think about how to apply what I learned to actual business. The second is the diversity of the professors. There are professors with various backgrounds, so it was really exciting and fun every time. The third is the global network. This is really because you can connect with classmates from all over the world. I really experienced a culture shock due to the differences in culture, values, and ways of working. But now, those experiences are wonderful memories. So, to sum it up, the 3 reasons I chose Hult are its focus on practical learning, the diversity of the faculty, and the global network.
Yes, thank you. Yes, as you said, when I asked why people choose this online beer, the reason is that they are all working and want to connect it organically. In other words, they want to learn and utilize what they are doing now and put what they are learning to good use. I think there are a lot of people who want to do that right away. So, I think it is connected to Mr. Ito's own business. So that was a good match. Especially Mr. G, and probably also the network. A lot. I think it's important to connect through that. I believe that plays a significant role. Yes, thank you. So, specifically, you mentioned that it was quite challenging during your studies. Could you share any specific difficult experiences or episodes you faced? Well, if there is anything, especially, we wanted to ask you about it. So, can you be more specific and tell me how you lived that lifestyle for a month? Also, as many people mentioned earlier, I'm curious about your classmates and if there are any specific projects or cases that are still lingering from your studies. If you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them.
I think that's what you're talking about. Yes, thank you. Yes, the lifestyle for that 1 month is completely different between the state where the classes are held and the state where the classes are held. First of all, the assignments are usually announced about 2 weeks before the class. In the next class, we will learn about this content. To do that, we read these papers, and in some cases, we are asked to submit this report in advance. I was given assignments, but managing them was really tough. Just a little. If I hadn't done this preparation, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with the 3-day class on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I wouldn't have been able to contribute at all, so this preparation was really hard. On the other hand, during the weeks when there were no classes, I was able to study at my own pace, for example, when I watched the designated videos and studied, in my case. I studied while watching videos on my mobile phone during my commute or in my spare time. However, in reality, the reality is that I was so busy with market operations that I couldn't find time to study until deadlines were approaching.
Yes, thank you. Well, by the way, Mr. Ito, well, it was 2 years ago, so, well, I think I could choose the live or the fix. Well, I think every month, the style, like this month it was a self-study type, a recording type, and this month it was a live. Or, well, it was a mix-up? Yes, it was a mix-up. Well, it was specified. Ah, I see. Yes, that lifetime live. On the weekend. It's like relying solely on my own dictionary. Yes, that's right. Actually, I was also doing my master's online at that time, so I completely relate. It's all about figuring out how to make time amidst the daily busyness, and that skill is still really useful. I think it's very important for everyone to produce results even when they're busy, and that's something you can learn from this experience, especially for those who are busy. Maybe it's a good fit.
So, do group work sessions come into play during this? Yes, they do. This is already busy enough, but in the case of online classes, we have to overcome the barrier of time zones. We work on the same tasks with people from all over the world, so we really had to make use of IT tools to manage and get through it together.
The
So, specifically, we mainly use WhatsApp and IT WhatsApp as a base, and of course, we also use Google, Sheets, and Teams effectively. Depending on the person, the devices they use can be completely different, so we often start from there to decide on the tools. There were some disagreements and various discussions about that. Yes.
Which country are you from? Are there many people from your region? Well, I think it was quite diverse overall.
Well, as for him, of course, there were people from America, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. It was all over the place. Probably. I believe the teams were structured to avoid any bias in the base points. Each time the members were different, but there was a real effort to ensure that we didn't just have a group of only Asian people. It's really hard to adjust to the time difference. That's true. Yes. When I played with someone from Boston, there was a time difference of about 16 hours, so I tried really hard. I would create the proposal and send the report, but they wouldn't open it at all because they were already asleep. By the time I woke up, the content had completely changed. That happened quite a lot. Yes.
Absolutely. This is exactly what's happening in business now. In global business, this is just a normal occurrence, and I think it's something you should experience firsthand. As you mentioned, we are forming teams from all over the world.
Yes, thank you. So, moving on to the second point, I think there are many classmates to choose from, but if I had to pick, I'd like to mention a couple of them. Thank you for that. They are really unique individuals, so it's hard to choose just one, but two people really stand out to me. One of them is a senior marketing leader at Google. She's a female marketing leader. I still remember it clearly. I'll never forget that moment during the very last part of our first authentic leadership class. At the end, the professor instructed us to have one-on-one discussions with a classmate. We were supposed to talk about why we were pursuing an MBA and what we wanted to do after obtaining it. My partner was this sharp leader from Google, and she shared so many insights with me. Of course, I couldn't understand everything she said. We had a class where we discussed one-on-one what we wanted to do after obtaining our MBA and provided feedback to each other. My partner was this sharp leader from Google, and she shared so many insights with me. Of course, I couldn't understand everything she said. That's true, and my English skills are really poor, like at a beginner level in conversation. The content was similar to an English conversation class, but she never looked down on me at all. She sincerely listened to what I had to say. So, they listened to me and said, "I'm sure what you wanted to say is this, or this is how it is." And of course, they gave me feedback. But what they really said was that even though you don't speak English very well, and there are a lot of things to consider, it's great that you're trying. So, that's it. Yes, what she said has been my support during the last 2.5 years of my MBA studies, even when I was struggling. I have memories of her and I talking about this at the graduation ceremony in London, and we praised each other. Yes. And the other person contacted me on WhatsApp during that class. He reached out to me and said, "I'm sorry, but I can't attend today's class because a civil war has started." She shared that with me. Fortunately, he was able to return to class a week later. I learned that among my classmates, there are people who are coming to study despite facing political risks like civil wars. The fact that I can participate in classes as if it's a given is actually not something to take for granted. So I really felt grateful to be in this kind of environment, and that was the sentiment shared by both of us. Yes.
Thank you. Well, I think these two are quite shocking. So, from my side, regarding English, I wanted to ask how long it took you to get used to it, or when you started feeling like you could express yourself in English during those 2.5 years.
To be honest, I was still not good at English until the very end. However, one thing that changed was that my mindset changed a lot. Even if you don't know difficult words, you're cool. Even if you can't say phrases, if you have passion, you can still get your point across. I realized that if I said something good, everyone would appreciate it. So, even though I spoke less, I started to build my confidence by asking questions like, "This is what I'm thinking," or What do you think about this perspective? This helped me feel like I was contributing something valuable to the team. So, to be honest, that class, yes, Mr. San, in my case, it's been about half a year or a year. Honestly, I think I only understood a little bit of what was being said. However, my mindset changed significantly. Yes.
Thank you. Even so, I won't reach a native level, so I think it's important to consider where I can contribute, as you mentioned. Yes, he probably made a valid point, and I realize that this might be something that gets overlooked in Japan. I'm also thinking about how to address that. Also, regarding the two people I mentioned, with the Civil War situation, I believe there are people who are truly risking their lives to pursue their education. They come from all over the world. Actually, I think it's a very supportive environment to be working alongside people who even bring their families along. Well, Kaji-san, about your comments.
That's right, really. First of all, this isn't an English school after all. What's important is what kind of thoughts people have, what they're thinking. It's not about judging them based on their English, it's about valuing their ideas. I really understood that again. Yes. And precisely because of that, if those two classmates were still working at Amazon, we probably wouldn't have met. So I didn't really have the opportunity to share those values. It felt really good, you know? It was like discovering a new perspective. Yes. I think that was quite impressive. At first, I believe you mentioned wanting to gain confidence, right? I really talked a lot with my classmates and got to see a new world. Did you gain confidence? Quite a bit.
Yes, it has completely transformed.
You know, there are definitely people who feel stuck because they can't speak English. But I think the first step is to just dive in and try. Well, at the very least, you have to meet the school standards, right? If the school recognizes you, then that's important. You know, you can still communicate even if your English isn't perfect. I think saying it's clumsy is a bit of modesty, but yes, I felt that way.
Thank you. Well, I could probably talk about my classmates all day. I understand. Well, since we have a bit of time left, could you talk about any specific impressions you have regarding the current project? Like, is there anything that still feels unresolved or lingering?
Yes, thank you. I misunderstand all the business challenges that we do, which are the work of drawing up a growth strategy for an actual company. But I would like to tell you a little about the last business challenge that I did. This was a case study by a team of us on drawing up a growth strategy for Netflix. It's that teammate. It's that time. It's the last one, so we're all really motivated. We're gradually understanding each other, and we've got good teamwork, and we've been working hard to be the best. So we've been putting the frameworks we've learned in the MBA, like SCQ analysis and SWOT analysis, to good use in practice, and we've been learning and realizing things from the group work so far. We conducted team building based on our reflections. We assigned roles according to each member's characteristics, which allowed us to manage the project efficiently. Our team felt like the best, the strongest, and we all got excited together, culminating in a deep analysis and teamwork that showcased the essence of our MBA experience. We were confident, but our proposal wasn't perfect. This is something we realized after our presentation. We compared our presentation with those of other teams and reflected on it. Through feedback from the professor, we realized that we hadn't considered the perspective of human truth. We had focused on quantitative data analysis and overlooked qualitative aspects like customer emotions and real experiences. Sometimes human emotions cannot be expressed through data. We thought our proposal was perfect, but in the end, we realized it was still incomplete. It was more like, oh, we still have opportunities for growth. So we wrapped it up with that understanding. Ultimately, I realized that this journey of learning in the MBA isn't the end, it's just the beginning. That was a great case study.
Well, what caught my attention is that despite receiving such critiques, you still performed quite well academically, right? Of course, you did well.
Yes. Oh, well, I guess that's where I got called out. So, yes, of course, my evaluation was AA. It was an A, but we always set our standards high and aim to maintain that. Yes, it's almost all A's, yeah.
That's right. Well, I feel the same way. So there are no Japanese people in Hong Kong who have been recognized as distinctions. Yes. Well, last year, Mr. Ito and one other person were in Dubai, but in a place where there are almost no other people, he continued to take pictures. Maybe your teammates were visiting you. You really have to put in a lot of effort, so please listen to what you have to say. Yeah.
Well, I really felt that way. I was completely blessed with my teammates.
I see. Well, since you can't really choose your team, I guess everyone probably wanted to help Ito out. It sounds like the teamwork really shone through. That's wonderful. Achieving that in just 2.5 years is quite something. Thank you.
Yes, I think that by using your teammates well, or rather by communicating well with them, 1 + 1 can become 2 or 3. Yes, I understand. That's right.
Everyone, when they are on the same team as me, they laugh. If you say, okay, if you get a question in English, we'll talk about it so it's okay. Instead, we'll ask for ideas. That's how it ended up. Yes, I see. Each of us, well, we have our strengths and weaknesses. So, well, we don't cover each other well. Yes, so
So did your classmates know about your ideas? By yes, I mean that they had some ideas.
that's right. Well, I was already aware of my English ability. So before the class started, I wrote down all my thoughts on paper and distributed them to my teammates in advance. During group work discussions, I couldn't express what I wanted to say in a timely manner, so later I would summarize my thoughts on paper and share them with everyone. This way, they could incorporate my ideas more easily.
Yes. On the other hand, if that hadn't happened, Ito's strengths might not have been conveyed. Yes. I think it really took courage to take that kind of action. Yes. After all, it all comes down to what you can do. If you don't express what you can do in English, then how will others know? You have to make that appeal. Otherwise, your classmates won't understand. If you don't, you might just come off as a burden, and that can lead to misunderstandings. There are times when things can be misunderstood, right? I see. That kind of proactive behavior is wonderful.
Thank you. That's right. I think that even in the Nissan business, you probably have to do a bit of groundwork, and I don't think people do that. So I think that's very important. I think it's okay to ask. Well, I'm not the only one, and I think that's about how to contribute. That's up to Haruto. I think that you can learn globally on your own, and, well, if there's nothing else in particular about that. Then specifically, now, you said that you will be able to do the administrative expenses and start the company again. Well, if there's anything in particular that you'd like to lick about, like how you'll do it with Hearts My Video.
Can I talk about this? Yes, thank you. The strategies, thinking, and frameworks I learned at Hult have been very useful for envisioning the next 3 to 5 years for my own company. Since I work at a consulting firm, I primarily support publicly listed companies and mid-sized businesses in shaping their futures. In that process, I've been able to apply the overseas case, studies, and the latest developments in AI that I learned at Hult. So, being able to share information about how trade is changing with my clients has been incredibly helpful. Plus, I've built a global network. For instance, I run an online retail company, and if I think about selling fishing gear in Dubai, I can easily reach out to my classmates there and casually ask, so how's the fishing scene in Dubai? It's made it really easy to get that kind of information. This applies to my company as well as to our clients, when exploring new markets and products. The ability to ask my colleagues on WhatsApp without having to go to the local area has been incredibly helpful for our research. On the flip side, I get a lot of questions about Japan from classmates all over the world. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. I feel the same way. Almost every day. I think the network is my greatest asset. It's important to connect with partners. Thank you. Yes, as you mentioned, I am very aware of the latest technologies. Of course, AI has become essential, and it's something we really need to focus on. The network with Professor Lee is also incredibly beneficial for my business. I see. Thank you. Well, Taji-san, I think Ito-san probably has a passionate message to share at the end. But do you have any other questions you'd like to ask him based on what you've heard?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I was curious about what you mentioned earlier. What's the fishing scene like in Dubai, really?
Hearing this kind of talk made me think that since there are a lot of wealthy people in Dubai, fishing gear would probably sell well, and I was considering proposing that to my clients. But then I heard that it's too hot in Dubai, and you can only take boats out for about 2 or 3 months out of the year. That made me realize that the market might not actually be that big.
Well, other than that, speaking of things I'm curious about, what kind of companies or business leaders are typically featured in the case studies?
That's right. As a company, we also learn about history. For example, in case studies of corporate scandals, we look at incidents like Enron. We discussed why managers make mistakes and why even talented individuals sometimes engage in illegal activities. We explored these issues together and worked on how to prevent such situations from happening in our own practices, ultimately summarizing tips on how to avoid these pitfalls. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's right. Well, Ito-san, well, you're always doing business now, and I think that the current hardware, MV, is now at the stage of being utilized. So I hope so. I'm looking forward to seeing you do well. Among them, those who can see this a little will probably be on the main online in the future. Haruto, well, I think there are a lot of people who will be keeping an eye on you. Well, we're heading in that direction, actually. So, here we have a photo of someone who graduated from Google, probably a manager. Yes, they look very confident, and it's a really nice picture. As I mentioned earlier, this is a photo of a technician wearing the golden sash. If you have any final message for those watching, please share.
Thank you. Looking back at that time, I thought about how I would challenge myself to pursue an MBA once I became better at English or when my work settled down a bit. I don't think all the necessary conditions will ever be perfectly met. So what's important? I couldn't be egoistic at all. I was busy with work and didn't have time, but I think it's important to have the mindset to force yourself to meet the necessary conditions, even if you have to. I really struggled with English, and I couldn't keep up with the classes. I couldn't contribute to group work, which made me lose confidence. Still, I kept challenging myself without running away, and gradually, I built relationships with my teammates. In the end, with everyone's support, I was able to graduate successfully. I strongly feel that I am a different person now compared to before I attended the MBA program at Hult. Well, this is about my confidence. Regarding this confidence, I truly believe that just this alone makes it worth it to have gone through the program. And it's not just me. All my peers who graduated from the MBA program at Hult say the same thing. You all say that you have the confidence to compete globally, the confidence to manage your time well, and the confidence to succeed in business anywhere, with anyone, so I would like you to please be brave and take the first step. Yes, thank you very much for today.
Yes, that's right. We've received a powerful message, and I think before taking on challenges, many people might not have a clear image of what to expect. But from what I've seen, those who actually take action tend to leave a lasting impression, just like the person who made a purchase. So, I really encourage you to adjust your mindset accordingly. And, well, this is Ito-san's LinkedIn, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube. So if you're looking for more insights, I definitely recommend checking those out. Yes, thank you. So, from my side, I'd like to wrap up by talking about upcoming events. Next week, we have an online waiting glass, and the theme will be how to leverage AI skills in business, which is a very hot topic right now. So, Definitely, you can check this out from Mikami-san, and if you go to the Hult website, you can actually experience it. Now and in Japan. On April 5th, the last general meeting of this year's new hires will be held at EF's new office. So please wait for the offer by then. You will also be invited to these events, so please do. I think it's a good seat for the people so far. So finally, this month, the registration for the multi-Sarando program is open until February 28th. For example, regarding the online program, you can still make it in time for the April intake, and there are still opportunities available this year in July and October. If anyone is interested in taking on the challenge and wants to build their confidence globally, like Ito-san, I really encourage you to consider this. There are also scholarships available, up to a maximum amount. Additionally, there's a 2% discount on the program fees. So, I really hope that those who are interested will apply. Yes, there is. There is also a 2% business discount. It comes with these things, so it's a good choice. I recommend it to people like this. Yes, I would like to ask for your applications. So, with that said, I've mainly been speaking about Ito-san today. I believe that Ito-san will continue to share encouraging words for those who are considering this path. I definitely want to participate in more events in the future, so I will keep you updated.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, I thought it was a mistake. Well then, thank you very much for continuing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please,